Okay, boys and girls, we are going to visit a grocery store today. This grocery store is called Hometown IGA, and it's close to Enon, which is close to home to a lot of people that live in Enon. Your grocery store might say something like Kroger's, or it might say Myers, or it might say the Super Walmart. Sometimes we go to the Super Walmart, which is a little different. It's a larger store, but we're going to go through this smaller store today to show an example of what you can find in a grocery store. Now, one of the things I want to talk to you guys about is that when you go into a grocery store, sometimes there will be loud noises. Like, for example, over here, we have a trash truck. And the trash truck will have a large engine going, or sometimes they might have a backup beeper sound that they make when they're going to pick up the trash, or sometimes the trash itself will go into the trash bin and it'll be really loud when it clatters into the trash can. But it's nothing to be afraid of because we're going to make our way into the grocery store. Another thing that you might see is maybe a transport vehicle, because we have to get the groceries to the grocery store through like semis and things like that. So there might be a semi that comes through here and we'll be delivering the groceries at the back of the grocery stores, and then we'll have people like stockers who will stock the groceries onto the shelves for us so that we can purchase them. Now, when we walk through these doors right here, sometimes you'll have automatic doors, but you don't need to be afraid of automatic doors either. Usually there's a pad or there's a sensor button at the top of the door that will sense that you are there, and it will open the door automatically. See how that happens? But we don't need to be afraid of it. We just need to walk through once we know that the door is open for us. Okay? There's another one. So as we walk through the door, a lot of times you'll see the cashiers at the front of the cashier register desk. Hi, I'm doing a video for my kids, my disability kids, about going to the grocery store. Okay, so then when we go to the grocery store, we usually can pick up a cart at the front of the store too. So we're going to pick up a cart so that we'll have some place to place our groceries. Now, for some people with disabilities that can't walk, we also have these little motor carts that we can use to motor around in and put our groceries in. So you might see somebody in the grocery store riding around in that too, and those have a beeping sound to them as well. So we shouldn't be afraid of the beeping sound that those make, because they're just trying to let us know that they're backing up or they're trying to get through some area. Usually at the front of the grocery store, they will have some baked goods. So we have all these wonderful baked goods, and they have, for the seasons, they have different kinds of seasonal items. Like right now it's Christmas season, so you can see all the Christmas candy and the goodies for Christmas coming up. But then they also put a lot of their sale items, like if they have a large stock of food, they'll put it at the front of the store so people can just grab and take and put it in their basket and have it, because it's usually on sale and they can get a large quantity of stuff. Like for example, this cranberry sauce for the Christmas dinner or the Thanksgiving dinner is 2 for $3 right now. So people can grab that, put it in their grocery cart, and they'll be ready to go for Thanksgiving feast. You'll also hear music playing in the background when you go to the grocery store. But the first section that we're going to enter into in this particular grocery store, and Miss Ann likes to work from the back of the grocery store up front, because then I can get all my groceries from the back and then I'll be ready to check out at the front. But here in the produce section, you can get all your fresh vegetables and fruits. That's what the word produce means, is that it is fresh vegetables and fruits. Okay? And then for the next section, and I'm going to take pictures of all the signs, but each aisle has a sign of what we need to get. So in this aisle, we're going to have water, wine, mixers, beer, dairy, and milk. So this was probably a great section for our principal, like Mr. Newsock. but it's also a great section for milk. And everybody usually typically needs milk for like baking and for their cereal and stuff like that. So the milk is at the very back with other dairy products like cheese and eggs. We also have the cookies that you can make at home. So that was our first aisle. Our second aisle is, in this particular store, is canned goods. So we have canned fruit, salad dressings, rice and potatoes, and canned meats. See all the good canned good stuff? So you'll be able to go through this aisle and pick out stuff like salad dressings for your salads. Okay. The next aisle is aisle number 3. And aisle 3 has our soups, our coffee, our tea, our pancake mixes. That'll be a good section for Mr. Todd. He loves his blueberry pancakes. And you got box dinners, pastas, sauces, and Mexican and Asian food. What kind of things do you think go in Mexican and Asian food? Well, Mexican food, you will oftentimes need like sauces, and Asian food oftentimes has different sauces that you can't get. So you'll have like taco shells and different types of salsa. But that's what's in aisle 3. Now, we're going to go ahead and hit the bakery section a little bit here. You'll have a bakery in the back of the deli typically, or on the side of the, or back of the grocery, or in the side of the grocery. Excuse me. The bakery will have goodies like fresh baked cakes and cookies, muffins and breads. And they'll usually have them displayed out on little tables like this, but sometimes they'll have them in the display case, and you have to go back to the display case and look around. Now, if it isn't a display case, you will have to speak with somebody at the bakery about what you would like to have for that day, and they will usually get it for you. And they'll put, sometimes they'll, like for birthday cakes, they'll even put happy birthday with the name on it for you. You just have to wait for them to pull it out and then tell them what you need. But you have to speak very clearly so that they can write it down. And sometimes you need to know how to spell the name so they can spell the name out, and then they can make a birthday cake for you and you can bring that home. Also in the deli, you can go ahead and get lunches or dinners if you don't have time to cook at home. They have some wonderful foods here that they will have already pre-cooked for you in the deli. We'll do a little more shots of the deli and fresh meat area in a minute, but I wanted to take you down aisle 4 so you can also see what we have down there. In this aisle, they have juices, they have drink mixes, they have a baby food section, they have cookies, crackers. Oh, they have school supplies down here too, and candy. So let's take a look at what we have down here. Wonder what kind of school supplies they have. Maybe they're just talking about school lunches. What do you think? I think school supplies, I think pens and pencils and stuff like that. And sometimes with your larger grocery stores, they do have an aisle for that kind of stuff. I'm not seeing that though. I'm thinking they're doing more like stuff that you would put in your lunchbox at school. And then of course there's the baby aisle, which will have diapers and baby wipes and stuff like that. Okay. Now, these are what we call end caps on the ends of each of the aisles, and end caps will also have sale items or quick things that somebody might need to just grab and go. But right now, with it being Christmas season and people doing all the wonderful baking that they're doing, like Miss Wasserman loves to do, you'll have baking items, and you can grab the baking items off the end cap. Okay? End caps are a good place for them to have overflow of food items that you can pick from. In this aisle, in aisle number 5, you have gelatin, pudding, baked goods, spices, cereal, and breakfast bars. You also have toasted pastries. Okay. Do you hear that there's some pounding going on in the back? The people are hard at work in the deli area, and they're making the next day's food, or they might be cutting up some meat for people who want slices or pounds of meat. So you have these deli items down here that they make every day, but you also have these large loaves of meat that if you ask for them and you say, I'd like a pound of bologna, please, they can make you a pound of bologna, and then you can just pick out what kind of bologna or turkey or ham. I'm just doing a video for my kids, or cheese, and they will cut it up for you. They'll ask you what size of slice you want it, whether you want it thin slice or thick slice, and they'll slice it up for you, and you can then take that home and make sandwiches with it. So now we're going to go down aisle 6. Once again, there's more items on the end cap. Aisle 6 has more of the Snickers snackers that we're used to, like pops and fruit drinks and chips and things like that. So their end cap will be full of chips and stuff. Okay, so sometimes if you can't find an item in the aisle, you can look on the end cap and see if it might be on an end cap. Okay, but this particular aisle has nuts, popcorn, chips, snacks, soda pop, energy drinks, and soft drinks. Now, when you're in an aisle and there's somebody else in the aisle, you always want to look at the person and say, excuse me, and give them a moment to step out of the way, and then you can move through the aisle after they've moved out of the way. So I'll say, excuse me, and see how she's moved out of my way? Thank you for being such a good sport. I'm doing this for my disability students. So you never want to bump or push somebody out of the way as you're going down the aisle. You always want to be patient and wait, and just speak to them kindly and say, excuse me. So you have in this aisle is paper towels, bath tissues, paper plates and cups, health and beauty items, feminine hygiene items, and bulbs. So sometimes grocery stores will have things, quick items that you might need at home, like say a light bulb burns out in your new apartment, or maybe you might need even like a pair of scissors or some sort of tool, a quick tool that you might need for the house. A lot of times people just need garbage bags or something like that. And so grocery stores sometimes will have those kinds of things for us too. But they also will have all of our deodorants, our shampoos, our soaps that we need too as well. Okay? Remember what I said about sometimes just needing a quick item for the house? These are some of the tools and items that you can pick up sometimes at the grocery store if maybe, say, the hardware store is not open. Okay? All right. So, our next stop is going to be aisle 8, and then I'll come back and talk to you about the fresh meat section. Now, I'm not going to give you specifics on how to pick out fruits and vegetables. You can learn that from mom or dad or a guardian who wants to teach you how to pick out good items and not items that are maybe rotten or don't have a good shelf life. But I will tell you that you do need to check items to make sure that they are in good shape before you purchase them, because you don't want to get them home and realize that they've gone bad and not have gotten a chance to eat them, because you don't know if you're going to be able to get back out to the grocery store to replace those items. This particular aisle has carpet cleaners, cleaning supplies, plastic wraps, charcoal, laundry detergent, and dish soap. So I'm going to ask a question. Why would they need charcoal at a grocery store? And I'm going to give you a moment to think about it. We would need charcoal in the summertime if we're going to have a picnic outside and we're going to use the grill. So that's why they would have charcoal for us. And then cleaning supplies are just something, a standard need that most generally every new apartment owner has a need of, or just anybody that wants to keep their clothing and their area and their bedroom clean. So you have all these wonderful cleaning supplies and items. And then also, just like I spoke before about light bulbs, say you need batteries for something. Maybe you need batteries for your iPad, or batteries for one of your little music devices or something, or for a flashlight. There's batteries here too. Here's that charcoal I was telling you about that you might need for if you want to do a cookout. Okay, here we go. Down aisle number 9. Now this one is a discount aisle. It's $1. They call it the dollar aisle. But it also has our cat food and our pet food supplies. So if you have a pet at home, like Chief or Hooch, this is where Mommy and Daddy goes and gets the dog food and the cat foods for our pets at home too. But we like the discount aisles because sometimes we can find items that will fit our budget. And there'll be a lot less in the discount aisle, or the clearance aisle as they sometimes refer to. And you can get things there for a lot less than you would someplace else. And that helps with budgeting money. Our fresh meat aisle is our next stop. And like I said before, I'm not going to go over specifics with you guys on how to pick out good meat or fresh meat. But when you go to the meat section, it usually will be broken down into different sections. You'll have a seafood section, and then you'll have what's called a poultry section, which is chicken. That's what poultry stands for. And then you'll have your beef section, and then there'll be all types of beef. You'll have steaks, and you'll have ground hamburger, and you'll have rump roast, and all different types of beefs. And it just depends on what you're making at home, on what kind of meat that you want to pick out. Okay, that is our fresh meat section. And you can see the sign above the area, and there's usually a picture icon with some of these areas so that you can determine what's in that area. Okay? Now we're going to go down the frozen food section. This is aisle 10 in this particular grocery store. And we have breads and buns, jellies and jams, and peanut butter on one side. But on the other side, we have, in the freezer section, we have ice cream, and we have what they call novelty items. So you might have like frozen pretzels that you heat up in the microwave so you can make hot, soft pretzels in the evenings for a snack. There's those kinds of things. But I also want you to know that sometimes when we open up these refrigerated doors, they can stick a little bit and they're hard to open up because they've sealed in all that cold air. And then when they open up, all that cold air blows out at you and you hear this loud humming noise. Well, that humming noise comes from the refrigeration. And so we don't want to be afraid to reach in and grab anything like our ice cream or a sherbet if that's what we need, just because there's that humming sound. We want to be able to know what it is and why it's there, and that it's okay to go ahead and get stuff out of there. The other thing that happens is if you hold the door open too long, it begins to sweat, and so it's hard to see anything inside the refrigerated area after the door's been held open too long. So we want to shut the doors as quickly as we can. We want to look from the glass, outside the glass, pick what we want, open up the door and grab it, and then shut the door as quickly as possible so we can keep everything fresh and sealed and cold for the next person that might be shopping in this area. Okay? Now, Our next section, we are going to come out. Look, we're almost there. We're up by the registers, which means that we'll be almost ready to check out here in a minute. But our next and final section is just all frozen food sections. There's lots of meals that like chicken pot pies and French toast, pizza and things like that that we can purchase in the frozen food aisle. But there's also lots of things that mom and dad might purchase, like frozen vegetables or meatballs that will go into a whole meal. Like, for example, there's frozen noodles up there, and this would be the section that you would go to look for it. Now, in the frozen food aisle, you'll find at the top of the freezer section, it will tell you what items are in that area. For example, there are appetizers in this area, and maybe those of us who have never been to a restaurant might not know, well, what are appetizers? Well, appetizers are sometimes small little food items that you would get right before you're going to eat a big dinner. And they're usually just little things like pizza rolls, or maybe they're mozzarella sticks, things like that. So that's what an appetizer is, and that's what's in this section. Remember I told you about the soft pretzels? That's an appetizer. Then we also have dessert toppings. These would be all of your pies and cakes and stuff that have to stay refrigerated until you're ready to eat them. So they'll be in this section. Oh, and there's Cool Whip to go on top of the pies. That has to stay refrigerated too. Then you have your breakfast foods. Breakfast foods will be things like waffles, pre-made pancakes, some of Riley's favorite things that she might find in the breakfast food section are her breakfast sandwiches. There they are. Okay. You'll also find pizzas in this area. I'm going to go down the other aisle in just a minute. In case you were wondering, since we didn't see it before, if you don't want to get meat from the deli, there is always these pre-packaged meats that you can find under the lunch meat section, right just beyond the fresh meats in the deli section. Okay? Let's see. We've got some soups and stuff and some shrimp over here. It looks like they put all the seafood in one area of the frozen food section. But here's some frozen meals. Now, these are full meals that you might cook at big gatherings, or they could be just like TV dinners that you're just going to have like as you're sitting down for TV in the evening and you just want a small meal to yourself. These can be large items like a big thing of macaroni and cheese for a party, or it can be a smaller item like chicken nuggets. But that's what frozen meals and frozen dinners, which is the next other word that they're using, are in the frozen food section. Okay? So that concludes this part of our tour. But I also wanted you to know that in most grocery stores, there is what they call a support center for people who may have to purchase. Some places will sell tickets to ball games, or maybe you will have an exchange of some sort, or you have to exchange. So then you'll go to this support center where there's usually a manager or a supervisor, and you'll take your item up there, or you'll take your request up there, and you'll ask them, hey, can I get 2 tickets to the ball game at such and such? And then sometimes they'll do MoneyGrams, like if you're sending money places, things like that. So it just depends on what your need might be. Some places, like the Supercenter at Walmart, will you can pay your bills at those places, at those locations. So that's what this area is usually used for. Okay. And then also sometimes in grocery stores, they will have like a gift section, and that will include gift wrapping paper and things like that, or it might just include a card that you might want to purchase for mom or dad or brother or sister for their birthday or special wedding anniversary or something to that effect. Also, at the front of the desk area where you're checking out, there will be quick items that you might like to have, like maybe you need a new phone charger, or oh, I forgot to get my batteries. They have some here and you can grab those. Or if you want just something quick to drink and you only need one item of it, they also have like Pepsi or coffees or something like that. This will be in your checkout section of the store. When you go into the checkout section of the store, there will typically be a line. And in this particular store, we have cash registers with trainees at the register, and those registers will check you out. But there are some stores now that do what's called self-checkout. And when you do self-checkout, you'll have to take your items up and you'll have to run them over the register. We probably won't do that today because that's not available at this store. But I just wanted you to see the quick items that will be at the checkout, and I wanted you to see how you'll put your items on what's called a rotating belt, and the belt will take the items to the front to where the cash register is. She will ring up the items, and then she or he will bag those items. So that's how that's done. Now, don't get afraid or be afraid when the belt starts to move on its own. That's what it's supposed to do. It helps move the items along so that the cash register a registee does not have to reach clear over top to try to grab your items, and you also don't have to continue to keep picking up your items and moving them forward. So let's see if we can watch this belt and see if this belt will move as soon as she picks up these items. Once you place your items on there, you want to make sure you use one of these stoppers to put behind your items so that they know that that is your person in front of you's items, and then your items begin here so they won't bring your stuff up with their items. See how that belt moves? That's how it works. So that is our little grand tour of how we go to the grocery store. I'm going to go ahead and put our cart back for now. When we get to the register, Miss Wasserman's going to go over specifics about how to exchange money. But you can give the register, at the checkout register, you can give them a card. And there's different ways that you can use your card. You can either tap it now, or sometimes you can slide it in, and then you'll punch in your PIN number, and that'll pay for your groceries that way. Or sometimes they will take the card at the register, and then they'll take that information. And, huh?
Is there anything I can help you with?
No, I'm just doing this for my, I have students with autism, and we're running through what it's like to come to the grocery store, because we'll be coming to see you. This is the store manager, Tommy Webb, and she will probably be here when we come to do a grand tour of the grocery store.
Yeah, let us know they're coming.
Okay. All right, thank you. In addition to that, we also could just hand cash over, and their register will pop out. Did you hear the register popping? See how the register pops? And you hear all that buzzing sound in the background? That's the busyness of the grocery store. But there's nothing to be afraid of, okay? All right, I hope I've covered everything today, and this will help you guys all out, and I'll see you soon. Bye.